Oh yeah. I suppose everybody's noticed the. I'm putting this one. This one has gone out for the record, just as something I'm kind of interested in. I've been an investor in Litecoin since 2013 because I see it as Pareto principle 80-20. If Bitcoin is the 20% that has 80 of the value, then Litecoin will be the 80 that has 20 of the value, kind of thing. You know, all the other coins. It doesn't matter which one you pick. You know, this is just my take on it. And I've been watching what's been going on in the last month with extreme interest because a lot of people were kind of hoping that the institutions would come in, and now they're starting to see what happens when the institutions come in, where you get these squeezes and hoovering up and squeezes and hoovering up and squeezes and hoovering up. And you know, there's a lot of people trading, making money here in this thing and reading the maps and whatever, and that's up to them. That's fine. I'm a hodler for the same reason, say, Michael Saylor is a hodler. There's 67 million Litecoins mined now. There's only ever going to be 84, so you're kind of 75-80% of the way there. And my point on this is, if I was looking at somebody like PayPal, whose market cap is 300 billion, and if the overall market cap of Litecoin, which is a mature, built out, supplementary exchange system, is 11 billion. So if I was PayPal and I was trying to do some currency stabilization, inter-company transfers across the various payment offices around the world and so on, it'd be really handy. For 5% of my market cap, I could raise a loan and literally buy the whole Litecoin network, and I'd have all these miners working for me, and my transactions fees, I think, would be 0.03 of a cent. 0.03 of a cent. That would be their transaction costs if they're moving money around via Litecoin and then settling at the end of the day or whatever it is they want to do. Now, I'm not into that whole thing, but I understand that, say you were a Rothschild back in the day, you could write a letter to your cousin in France, if you were in England, and say, give the bearer of this letter X amount of gold and I'll settle up at the end of the year with you, right? Well, Litecoin is a similar sort of thing, you know, but it's electronic and it's really quick and it's secure and it's decentralized. There's 15,000 Litecoin ATMs out there. There's yeah, so it's pretty solid sort of thing, and it's only 11 billion if you want to buy it all. But you can't buy it all because there's guys like me there, hodlers. So how do you get the hodlers to let go of their Litecoin? You have to shake them out of their position some way or other. So how do you do it? Well, you have to arrest its growth and then crunch it and crunch it and crunch it so they start to think it's going to zero. And I think back in the day that might have worked, but I think now you're getting down, when you're down at the 10 or 11 billion we're at now, you're at the serious hodlers. So they've crunched all the traders out of it. They've crunched all the short-termers and the people who are leveraged, who've got margin calls straight away here now. Because I think, you know, if your loan to value is 70-30, it's been pushed down at least 30%, and that triggers margin calls, and that, you know, that's what they're aiming for. Boom. So yeah, so no market advice here. I'm just trying to point out that the sums of money we're talking about, you can't do it quite as easily with Bitcoin unless you got 4 or 5 institutions doing it together. But with Litecoin, only one institution at $300 billion cap who would find that network very handy to have. It makes you your own bank. Do you know what I mean? Unregulated, decentralized bank built out for you, and you can have it for 10 to 11 billion if you can get people to sell it to you. So bear that in mind. And once they have it, see, I think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain that any Litecoin deposited within their system can't be withdrawn as Litecoin. I may be wrong about that, but there's no way I would put my own little bank in their hands. I'd cash it out or hold on to it, one or either, but I wouldn't trade with it or mess around with it, because it's like your stake in the future banking system that's coming. And yeah, I think there's something very, very hairy going on here. Yeah, so, you know, be careful. If you don't need to sell, as Michael Saylor says, you know, nobody lost on Bitcoin over 4 years. If you don't need to sell it, personally, I wouldn't sell it in 100 years. And so the same thing with the Litecoin. It's the same thing. He might love Bitcoin. I love Litecoin. Why not? Because it's been very good in terms of appreciation over 10 years. That's despite all the crunches. That's despite the founder selling the thing. That network is out there now and it's mature. It's just there. One of the safest, fastest, cheapest digital settlement situations out there. So that's probably the interest of PayPal, and it would be in their interest to just, if they can get it all, and then they've got their own bank. So it's worth thinking about. People wanted all these big institutions to come in, and they're in, and now you see what happens when they come in. You get market manipulation. That's why the price of gold has been where it is, and we know that's been proven. It's not. I'm not picking this off the top of my head. J.P. Morgan, I think, or Goldman Sachs was fined in the whole LIBOR stroke gold. They just, it's how they do it. So bear in mind, you're in the midst of, you've got the sharks are in the pool now, and they're after the same thing you're after. And if they can get you into a situation where you leverage yourself and then they push it down below the 70% loan to value, they've got you, haven't they? If you don't have the money, you're leveraged already, you could lose your whole stake, and they've got it. Thank you, because they got loads of money. They've got friends in the Federal Reserve who'll give them as much as they want, and and they're clever. So be careful. Be careful, careful, careful. It's valuable stuff, and they all want a bit of it.